Inshallah, the subject that I would like to cover today is a very important subject which relates to our everyday life. You know, whatever destruction we see, fasad we see in personal life or community life, at the level of single small community or at a bigger level, country level, the only reason is that we don't feel accountable. We don't feel that there will be a repercussion for everything we do. There is a concept in our deen called makafat amal. What goes around comes around. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this whole universe in such a way that everything is interconnected. Whatever we think, our thoughts, our actions, they will bring result. They will affect. And this life, we have to understand, it's a continuation. This life does not end with my death. Either I will see the results of my thoughts and my actions in this life before I depart. For sure, definitely, if I will not be able to see the results here, I will see and face, good or bad, when I depart from this dunya. This is the concept that I want to, inshallah, discuss today. You know, scientists, they have done research. Even flap of butterfly wing, if butterfly moves its wing, even that move has effect somewhere in this universe. Look at butterfly and look at the wing of a butterfly. But it's proven by the science today, this will have effect in this universe somewhere. So that's why, you know, there is a concept we call link dot theory, that everything happens around you. If you connect dots, you will reach from where all this was started. There is another concept that we study today is called compound effect, that everything adds up. Every little thing you do, it will add up. And someday you will see good or bad result of it, depends upon your action. The reason I included our thoughts in this as well, because you know, our thoughts, they shape our personality. They shape our actions. They shape our move. Our thoughts become driving force of our actions. So that's why, you know, all these psychologists, they say the very first step to control yourself, your action, is that you should control your thoughts. Because these thoughts will become action sooner or later. My brothers and my sisters, you know, many times I get scared. That is the reason that I chose this topic. When I see, you know, I'm not excluded. I'm included in this scrutiny, that what I do and what I witness people are doing, it reflects that we are acting very careless. We don't know the consequences. Sometimes I have seen brothers and sisters, they use words that really, it scares me. This brother and sister does not know the consequences, what will happen tomorrow. So we have to understand, my brothers and my sisters, that we will be accountable sooner or later. The very first thing which I want to talk today is about the relationship of husband and wife. You know, one of my sheikh in Jordan, he says, and I'm going to connect all this to, because when I talk about relationships, in every relationship, I will explain to you this concept of makafat amal. What goes around, comes around. And what scares me the most, that there is a saying that if you do good deeds, one of the benefit of that good deed and your good intention is that Allah will reflect your good deeds in the well-being and happiness of your children. You will see, you will witness with your own eyes that if you were good in your life, you will see Allah will shower special mercy on your family, on your kids, and you will witness in your life the well-being and happiness of your children. But if it goes other way around, my sheikh, he says one day, the way you want your daughter to be treated, you should treat your wife the same way. The way you want your daughter to be treated in future, then be watchful, then be careful how you treat your wife. And he used to teach me, it's like a triangle, that on top you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and on the bottom you have husband and wife. More you are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the gap between husband and wife, it narrows, it shrinks, it gets shortened. So more you are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's why, the simple solution of our everyday problem does not matter if it's a problem of relationship, if it's a problem at business, if it's a problem at friendship level. The simplest solution is ittaqullah. Have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That whatever you are doing, Allah is witnessing all that. And you have to be accountable for everything. The one thing which I want to emphasize here, especially my brothers and my sisters, that I have witnessed, that when we deal with our relationships, when we do ma'amalat, dealings, our attitude, hamara ravaiya, hamare maamlat, we should be very watchful and careful about this. That how I treat, other people, what words I use for them, how I handle the situation, because this all will one day will come in front of me. If I am good with people, if I am nice, if I deal people with fairness and justice, Allah will bring that justice and fairness for me in this dunya, in my life. But if I treat people unjustly, or I belittle people, or I cause discomfort in the life of people, Allah might bring me in the middle of road, and people will witness what Allah will do with me. So we have to be very, very careful and watchful in our ma'amalat, in our dealings with our relations, especially with the close, relationship. The second thing which I want to talk to you, my brothers and my sisters, is, in family, many times what happens, that we see and witness things that we should correct. I had meeting with my kids few weeks ago, and I was telling them, and this is very important, pay attention to this. Many times in our own family, we see shortcomings of each other. Husband and wife, parents and kids. But we are scared to correct them. And we let it go. And I say, as I said, there is a effect that everything gets, collected together, what we call compound effect. And the results will come, negative or positive. But we are not wise enough to correct things at the right time. I have seen kids, they know each other's weaknesses, but they are shy to correct each other. They are reluctant to correct each other. They feel like that if I will say something, my brother or my sister or my parents or husband and wife, they might feel offended. But wallahi, let me tell you one thing. If you and me will not correct each other in our family, that somebody is going to correct them middle of the road. I have seen that my daughter, for example, has some weakness. And if I don't correct, she gets married. Now this issue is going to become even a bigger problem in her relationship. It was much better, I should have corrected from the very beginning if I had seen some shortcoming and some mistake. Nothing goes in vain. No actions goes unchecked, unattended and vain. Results will come sooner or later. So this is the responsibility of you and me to make sure that in our relationship as a husband or wife, or in our relationship as parents and children, or among siblings, that if we identify any issue with full respect and privacy. This is a very bad practice. I see as a pediatrician in many families, they try to correct their child in the middle of everybody, which embraces them, which makes them feel very uncomfortable. And instead of becoming a positive effect of that correction, rather it pushes them further away from correction. So we correct each other, but in their privacy with full respect. My brothers and my sisters. One thing which I want to also talk here, many times, I deal with families and many family counselors. They agree on this, what I'm about to share with you right now. If you go and try to find the root cause of our issues and problems, doesn't matter if it's a family issue, doesn't matter if it's a community level issue, you will always find root cause is that we are disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala somewhere, somehow. 95% of the family issues, 95%, and I'm not exaggerating, 95% of the family issues, when they come to family counselors and they go and find out the source of living for the family, in 95% of the time, they are disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are involved in something, in some transactions in their life which is not permissible by our Sharia. And I have said this in my previous khutbahs. I have never seen a family which gets distracted or which goes wrong if there are two things in that family. I have never seen one. If you have seen one, please share with me. Number one, family where you will find respect of elders. And the family where you will find they are very cautious and conscious about the rizq halal. My brothers and my sisters, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us tawfiq, that we should be very careful and watchful for our thoughts and our actions. Every word we utter, every action we do, the body language, our eye movements, everything will be accountable one day, either here in this dunya Allah will bring, or in the life hereafter. Today I want to share with you a very unique and new concept. As a Muslim, everything in our life should have a perspective. And our perspective should always be our deen. Everything we plan in our life, everything we do in our life, all actions we do in this life, the perspective should be always Islam. One thing which I was, listening previously, and I want to share with you a beautiful thought. Wallahi, imagine in this world, if everybody is caring for someone who is in front of him, then how peaceful this world will become. If I become reason of peace. You know, in Ibadur Rahman, one of the definition of the Abd, Ibadur Rahman, is slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the quality of Ibadur Rahman is that if you are in his or her company, you will feel protected. You will feel like that nothing will come harmful from this brother and sister. So you will feel peace. This is what Islam teaches us, that if I am in the company of my brother and sister, Muslim brother and sister, does not matter, Muslim, even if non-Muslim is in the company of a Muslim brother and sister, he should always feel safe. He should always feel protected. This is one of the quality. Imagine the life will be Jannah in this dunya, that if we all feel safe from each other. This concept which I want to share with you, my brothers and my sisters, you know, many times our ibadat becomes habit. It's just a robot. It's just a exercise. But I want to give you a concept where our habits can become ibadah. And how that can become, my brothers and my sisters, it just needs a little conscious and careful effort. I can make my actions my ibadah. Does not matter what I am doing. And I'll give you one example. You know, we all go to fill tank of our car. We need gas. And if I know a gas station in this town, that station is owned by a Muslim brother, and he does not have lottery or anything unlawful in his gas station, this becomes my obligation. This becomes my obligation. Does not matter if he is selling his items more expensive than everybody else. It becomes my obligation because my intention is that I am going to go and help my brother. Does not matter if his item is expensive, but he is trying to make living for his family. He is fighting the system. He is taking all that load on his shoulder. This is my responsibility. Does not matter. This money is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This does not belong to me. You know, there was a scholar in Pakistan, Ashfaq Ahmad. One of his, murid came in rickshaw, in taxi you can call. And the Babaji, he asked him, how much was the taxi rent? He said, $10. He said, how much did you give him? He said, I gave him 15. Why you didn't give him 30? He said, Babaji, rent was just 10. I gave him 15. I was thinking, what would have happened if you have given him 30? Because that money does not belong to you anyway. That money is a amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your hands. If it can help somebody, and you have an intention that I want to help my brother and sister. If you remember, I shared this with you before. When we go Pakistan, we all go, and I have witnessed this. I may have done it, in my Jahiliyyah time as well. And we bargain. This poor man selling you mango for 200 rupees per kilo, and now I'm bargaining with him. No, I'm going to pay you 100 rupees. Wallahi, when I think about it now, I feel ashamed. That poor man, if he would have made some extra rupees from me, he is not going to become a millionaire. He is still going to live in that small house, hardly going to bring food for his family. So this concept that whatever you do, my brothers and my sisters, be watchful and careful and make your money work for you. And that money can work for you, that if you use your money with this intention that I'm going to go and support my brother and my sister so that he can make living for his family. Wallahi, you have to buy things anyway. But just this intention and this plan will make your habits ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq, my brothers and my sisters, that we make our efforts, that whatever we do in our life, we should always understand that this life is going to end. This life is very short. Wallahi, this life is all about going from point A to point B. And I have shared with you this, concept before, this feeling before, that whenever our death time will come, most of us, we will regret. We will regret for two reasons. One reason was that things that I was feeling are very important for me in life, they were not that important. They were not that important. And for this life, I had given everything of me. Everything of me. Even my deen I have given. This life was not that important that I had to work so hard for this life. This life was just about going from point A to point B. I would have lived just in a small house. I may have just driven a small car. I may have just lived with a small bank balance. That's good enough for me. And we all know that items, ashya, shay, articles don't bring happiness in your life. Happiness in your life if you have good relationship with our family. We work hard for family 24/7, thinking that if I will bring better car or better gadgets in my home and big size TV and bigger house, my kids will be happy. Wallahi, I have seen miserable endings of such families. Miserable endings. As compared to somebody who was just hardly making enough money to bring food for their family 2 times in a day on table, I have seen happiness, joy, prosperity, well-being of the family. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my brothers and my sisters, that Allah gives us tawfiq, that we should be very careful in our actions, in our muamalat, in our dealings, especially, I will say, my brothers and my sisters, with our close relationships. Especially, I will say, with our wives. Wallahi, this is where most of us fail. This is where most of us we fail. And many people say, you talk in favor of women. No, but this is something in our society that I see are oppressed. If we will not talk, as I said, somebody else will talk on the middle of the street. And if nobody will talk, still you and me will be accountable, my brothers and my sisters. So for the happiness of our family, as I said, dealing with your family in a positive way, good relationship, dealing with your wife, as I said, many people were not here, as my sheikh has said, treat your wife the way you want your daughter should be treated. Wallahi, I have seen, because if daughter has seen abusive environment at home, she feels like this is normal. This is normal life. When she gets married and her husband abuses her, she feels like, this is how the life should be. That's what I have witnessed all my life. My father was doing to my mother. Wallahi, this is a scary thing. Then I said, many people, they complain, I'm always good with people. People are not nice to me. And I'll tell them, brothers, you do it for your own Jannah. You're not expecting reward from anybody in this world. Do things, go out of your way, help people, be nice to people, and expect the natija, the result, ajr, only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and no action of you, good or bad, will not go in vain, will not go unchecked, will not go unattended. You will get reward of everything